I'm 33 years old at the time of recording this, and I've worked as a developer for over 12 years in various roles with a variety of brands and businesses. Here's 30 programming truths I know at 30 that I wish I knew at 20. Number 1. Watch out for long chain dependencies. That meme about node modules being the heaviest object in the universe is true for one main reason. Long dependency chains. Dependencies are like a tower of cards. You knock one out, they all come tumbling down. Be wary when packages have deeply nested dependencies. And don't fall into the trap of creating packages or modules that keep stacking up and up and up. Number 2, you should learn multiple languages. I started off with PHP, HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. As plain and bog standard as you can get. I didn't really jump into using more languages until about 3-4 years into working as a developer. By that point, I was so comfortable with what I knew, I struggled to try anything else. It felt like starting from scratch. This was a mistake because those languages trapped me in an area of development where I had no awareness of other languages and what they could provide, and even robbed me of a few job opportunities. Number 3, always check for truthy values. Always avoid double negatives and almost always check for truthy values. Reading code where you're checking for truthy values is so much easier to read. If you have to use a negative naming on a variable, like is not a pizza, then never pair it with a logical not comparison. This creates a double negative which is just a pain to read and creates cognitive load when it's not necessary. Number 4, the language you start with doesn't matter. I already mentioned what I started with. Some people would argue and say start with something else, but the truth is what you start with doesn't matter, it's just the fact that you get started that matters. Do a little bit of research into what you want to build or what area of development you want to work in, make an educated choice, and then go from there. You're not bound to any one language, and learning your first language makes learning the next one easier, and then so on. Number 5, practice data manipulation, especially arrays. The majority of programming software revolves around moving data from one place to another, manipulating, shaping, and trimming along the way. So get really good at shaping and understanding data structures. In particular, get really good with arrays. They're in every language and will be the most common type you work with. Most of the time we'll be sorting, filtering, and trimming data that's stored in an array. Number 6, master your tools. Speed and efficiency trump the latest and greatest. There's no point using the latest language or framework if it takes you 2 to 3 times longer to get the same task done as if you could do it in the same stack that you're comfortable with. Software requirements change. In this high-speed world, being able to deliver quality quickly matters. Number 7, get really comfortable with typing. This one might change in the future with AI tools and voice control getting a lot better for software, but for now we're all mostly typing. If you're getting long, uninterrupted blocks of time for coding, then you'll simply get more done by being able to type quickly, efficiently, and accurately. It's what we spend the majority of our time doing, so it makes sense to actually give it some practice. Find a keyboard that's comfy for you and get really cozy with it. Look at things like Vim motions for better code navigation without having to reach for the mouse. And have fun with something like monkey type. Number 8, embrace your curiosity. Lots of people would tell you to go this way or that, learn this thing or that thing, take this career path or that. Instead, listen to your mind. What do you think about when all is quiet with nobody around? What blog or Twitter post caught your eye? Follow these trails of curious thought and then dive deeper. Genuine curiosity will lead you to places other people simply won't go because they don't get that same feeling or spark. That's where you can shine. In the place that you're intrinsically drawn to. Number 9, avoid the else-if pattern. Avoid else-if like the plague. It's verbose and creates a strict linear form of logic that could be better simplified with something like a switch statement. Sometimes they can be combined into groups and have standalone if statements. And then a final default return at the end of the function. It's just neater and easier to follow. Number 10, try both a scripting language and a compiled language. They both have different strengths and they both have different weaknesses. They both behave differently, and it's a good idea to try at least one of each so you can get a feel for how different they can be and where they're similar. The workflows tend to be different between the two, so you might find one style suits you more and your values better than the other. Number 11, and I'm going to stop counting with the fingers now. Try both object-oriented programming and functional programming. Two paradigms, very different approach to how code is written and behaves. Like the last point we mentioned, they both have strengths and weaknesses. People get very zealous about these two things, so it's best to try both and understand how they both work. I was brought up with object-oriented programming, but found that I much preferred the data flow with functional and found it easier to test as well. Try both and broaden your horizons. Number 12. Don't abstract too early. Abstracting something too early in development could lead you down a path where it's difficult to come back from again. When you find yourself in a situation where you could abstract something, ask yourself these 3 questions. Do I know the majority of the cases where this abstraction will be used? Does the abstraction make sense not just to me, but to anyone else? Is the abstraction valuable, or is it simply hiding messy code? If you're not sure on the answer to these questions, then you might want to reconsider before moving ahead. Number 13. Forget dry and try damp. Most developers swear by this one, but there's one problem with it. We repeat ourselves all the time. It's a very concrete statement. Don't repeat yourself. That assumes forever, right? The problem is it needs a bit more nuance than that. There are times where repeating yourself is fine. If we abstracted or extracted every piece of code that we use twice, we'd probably never stop. A good rule of thumb I found is this. Have I coded this same logic at least 3 times? Can it be tested easily? Are there any special cases where I'm using this? It forces you to think about the abstraction and whether it's valuable or not. Bad abstractions can create unwanted coupling and complexity. Number 14. Work on communication skills early. This is a big one that can limit your ability to progress in your career. The further up the career ladder you go, the more important this skill becomes. Because your duties and responsibilities expand, and your work becomes more about leadership, mentoring, guiding practices and principles in your engineering team and environment. You'll need to communicate with people from all parts of the business and adjust accordingly. If you can't communicate simply and effectively, then you'll struggle to build confidence for yourself and the team.
Whack. Number 15. Use the rubber duck.
This vital piece of equipment could make or break a difficult problem you face. Okay, it's not vital to have an actual duck. You can get the same effect by yourself or with another person, but make sure to use this technique. Rubber duck debugging has been widely documented as an effective way to break down problems when you're struggling. The basic principle is to explain the problem, preferably out loud, to the duck. Stepping through the problem with the duck makes you analyze the problem from a different perspective, and communicating clearly and precisely is a skill in itself. This will test whether you fully understand the problem or not. Go grab one of these bad boys so you can pass. I'll put a link in the description for this one.
Number 16. If the duck fails, then take a walk.
Sometimes not even the almighty Gandulk can save us. If that's the case, then getting up and going for a walk could be the answer. Everyone's heard of Steve Jobs' famous walking meetings. There's plenty of science that explains the benefits of walking, and I try and get in a daily walk of at least 45 minutes each day. I have a whole video where I talk about daily walks, you can go check it out. Whenever I've been stuck on a problem and debugging with the duck, out loud or with somebody else just doesn't cut it, I find that getting up and walking away from the desk for 5 to 10 minutes will get what I need. It's a combination of movement and getting our eyes away from the screen that lets our brain process in a different way. Get up from the desk more. Number 17. Be a lifelong learner. I believe you can never really truly master anything. Nobody ever goes to the grave completing everything in a given topic. There is always more to learn. In that case, embrace being a lifelong learner. The goal is not to complete your training and then sail away happily ever after. The goal and the game is to constantly improve, constantly learn and grow. It will be a lot easier if you embrace this and enjoy the process. Don't see it as extra work. Life is work. Some of the most enjoyable parts of life come from being engrossed in a deep state of work and flow. Enjoy the learning. If you struggle to enjoy what you're learning, then try something else. Your intrinsic curiosity will guide you to things that feel like play but work for others. Number 18. Write more. It is a core skill for life. There is not a single profession in this world that is not improved by being able to write better. And it isn't being able to just write better for the sake of it. It's what comes from the writing itself. Writing is clarifying understanding. It's an incredible tool for learning. One of the most powerful tools you have for learning, discovery, collaboration, and communication. And specifically for programming, it helps with writing documentation, pull request reviews, and readability of code. Speaking of which, number 19, get good at naming. The two hardest things in programming are cache invalidation and naming things. Make a real effort to work on the second one. Naming things is the difference between code people happily work with, maintain, and grow, and code that people can't follow, update, or understand. Keep naming simple and readable. For example, use adjectives in variables' names to describe its intent so people don't have to look at what's in it, they know what it's being used for. Number 20, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. A widely used phrase in programming. Simple is hard to achieve, so it's important to take our time, break things down, and find a way to make complex things simple. Simple does not mean easy. Simple is an art and it's difficult to achieve. Avoid getting dragged into needless complexity. It is the death of software. The more complexity you introduce, the more chances you create for your code to fail. Strive for simple. Number 21. Use comments in your code as a last resort. Apart from packages, libraries, and modules, I really do feel like commenting your code is unnecessary. Don't feel the need to comment every line of code. And documentation isn't the same as commenting code. Good engineers can understand what code does by following its path, looking at the variable names, if it's named well, and essentially the code becomes the documentation. If something is particularly complicated and it's not obvious how to make it simpler, or if its usage is confusing, then do reach for the comments but use them sparingly. Two Little Ducks 22. Study with materials, learn with projects. We gather and collate knowledge by reading, listening, and watching. We learn through implementing, creation, and action. Don't get stuck in tutorial hell, you'll learn nothing. Once you study some information, test yourself on it. Use it. Make something. Programming is a skill, a craft, a creative outlet, and you simply don't learn through passive activities. There's a great video by Python programmer which explains that creating is the highest order of learning. Number 23. Start with small projects that pique your curiosity, then work up. It's easy to see what people make online and get a bit jealous. Or it might be desire, excitement, whatever you feel when you see something that someone is creating that looks great. But when we're starting out, it's better to start off with small problems and projects and work our way up from there. Seeing something through to completion is a skill in itself. If you tackle something too big, too early, you'll struggle to see it through to the finish. If you're curious about building something, then try and pick off a feature or piece of functionality that you could tackle on its own. You can build it end to end and learn its ins and outs in greater depth. Number 24. Write your code in long format to start with. This might sound weird, but for some programming languages, it's a good idea to write out the longhand format. For example, in CSS, there's multiple properties like margin, padding, border radius that encapsulate multiple properties into one. If you write it out with each property defined individually, you'll understand all the components that go into that one encapsulation, some of which you might not have known of or understand without doing so. Number 25, build a framework or package. If you find yourself using the same copy-paste code between projects, then go a step further and create a shared package or module. If you want to understand how React.js or Vue.js really work, then try and implement some of the features in your own framework. There's a big difference between code we produce for ourselves and teams, and creating something that can be distributed, shared, and used through open source. It will teach you invaluable lessons about coding. Number 26, build a CLI tool. This one can be a lot of fun. We spend a lot of time in our terminal tools and we use a lot of things through the terminal. Build something you can use that improves your workflow or just something for fun. It's a very different experience than writing most software you do day to day. And it can be a really exciting talking point you can have with other developers as well. Number 27, get friendly with logging. Monitoring and observability of systems is vital for production software. You need to be comfortable with implementing logging mechanisms, but also comfortable in reading logs accessing logs in various ways, and debugging using logs. They're your window into what's happening in your applications and gives you visibility of potential problems ahead of time. Number 28, handle your errors explicitly. Some languages do this better than others, but if you know a potential error could occur, then handle it explicitly. Some languages force this, like Go, but some languages like JavaScript will fail for many reasons and there won't be any clues as to where it could fail. If you know something that might fail, then cater for that. Number 29, use the debugger. Everyone uses console log, print, echo, whatever it may be to debug our code. But using an actual debugger will give you insights into what's happening in your code, where and in what order things are happening. They're not hard once you understand what it is that they're doing and learn the basic controls. They improve your ability to debug massively. Number 30, get comfortable not knowing. A lot of time during programming, you're going to feel lost, frustrated, scared, and even a little bit dumb. But that's part of the parcel for learning anything. You're not going to know how to do something until you've done it at least once. You won't know how to build a web-based calendar component. You won't know how to build a search-based API. You won't know a lot of things. There's no manual, there's great resources online, but not for everything. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable in order to grow. The majority of software and programming is problem solving. You'll need to accept not knowing and instead break problems down until you can solve it. Bonus tip number 31. Keep working on the fundamentals. Avoid shiny framework syndrome. AI is everywhere right now. People think traditional coding will die off. It might, but that time is not now. Learning the fundamentals will always serve you well in the long run. If you understand code at a deep level and the fundamentals of software engineering, you'll be able to adapt to any language, any framework, any tool, and be able to keep moving forward. There's a great quote from Kobe Bryant that says, "I never get bored with the basics." The best in the world at anything all master the basics, the fundamentals. It's not fancy tricks and complex skills they know that makes them the best. It's mastering the fundamentals. That means they can adapt to any situation and consistently stay on top. Don't follow the next shiny framework that comes along just because. Do it for fun if you wish, but don't drop everything else in place of it. Keep working on the fundamentals. If you like this, then check out this next video where I share insights on what great developers do versus the average developer.
Quack, click it please.